Man, it's Deconverted Man here. That's who I am. All right. So this Sunday, the 19th, I will be talking to Reformed Riley, who I made a short video response to. Now he got attention from big YouTuber Sir Sick, who covered his video, but I like to talk to people. I like to understand where people are coming from and why, and I want to get information from them. And the question here I'm asking is, will he be ready? And I don't know. I don't know what to expect. But I suspect that it will be what we've come to expect from apologists. Now, reading the comments on his video here, and he got a lot of comments because, again, he got covered by a big YouTuber, so he got a lot of responses. I don't have never met an honest apologist. This didn't change that. It's like the same sort of evidence for Lord of the Rings. People saying, "Hey, this is just an appeal to ignorance." People explaining that nothing that he said is even remotely true. Again, appeals to ignorance being pointed out. More people pointing out just everything that was wrong about this video. You're amazingly wrong on all your points. And essentially everyone saying that, he's wrong. But none of that matters to him. That he could be wrong, I don't think matters even a little. His belief is not grounded in these arguments. These are bad arguments we've heard before and been debunked before and been covered before many times. And we can see that people are telling him, hi, Robin, that he's wrong, but he doesn't care that he's wrong. He doesn't want to admit that he's wrong. He doesn't want to see that he's wrong. He doesn't want to learn that he's wrong, because that would interfere with his faith. And the faith takes precedent over reality. The apologetic doesn't matter. The arguments don't matter. Not really. I don't know if he believes these arguments are good, or if he just doesn't care about science, doesn't care about reality, or both, or if he, it's hard you can't read people's minds. You don't know. So we're going to have a talk, me and him, or him and I, either way, whatever. And he kind of wanted to debate, and I told him my rules for debate, and he was like, okay, we can just have a conversation. It's like, no, nobody's going to agree to my rules to debate. Not because they're unfair, but because they're very stringent and rigid. I won't allow citations from creationist websites. That's part of my debate rules. So that would negate many people from debating me, I suspect. So we cannot know if he believes these arguments are good or bad. We can infer that even if he thinks they are bad, that ultimately wouldn't matter in terms of his belief, or at least it shouldn't. In the sense that even if he's wrong about all these arguments, that's not really what his faith is standing on. And I say that as somewhat of a projection or assumption, I suppose, because again, we can't really know. But I don't think that hardly anyone out there came to faith because of any of the arguments that are out there for God. People come to faith for a variety of reasons, but I think that would be an extraordinary minority reason. It's usually because they're raised in that faith or exposed to it that they come to that faith. There's some social aspect about that faith that gravitates them to it, towards it, and makes them want to be part of it. And even getting, somebody converting to a different religion from a religion, but that's the religion that they're close by. They made a friend, high skeptic philosophy. Cosmic Brandon. Okay. Okay, thank you. What was I saying? So faith in anything usually comes from exposure to it, from either indoctrination when you're young or later gravitation towards it for social, psychological reasons. Like if Christianity is the only thing in your area, you were Hindu. But that's it. You happen to make a friend that was Christian who invited you to church. That might be enough to convert you. And there was this one gal in a church. I went to the very small church, and like her friend was there, and that's why she converted, and her family disowned her. I think she was into it. I could be wrong, but whatever it was that she was, she converted at a loss. And well, there was a social aspect there. And so people go to a religion sometimes because of that. I remember talking to a guy in the Church of Christ I went to who said he didn't really agree with what they said, but he still came there. And it was like, why? It's like he's there because it's something to do. You want to be around people. And yeah, that is for some people what religion is. It's something to do. You go hang out, and you participate in the thing, and you're there and you're around people. And if you believe or don't, doesn't really matter as long as you don't make it obvious that you don't believe or whatever. And you're part of this group. There was a poll a while back about, and I don't know if it's been updated since, but that asked people who they least trust, and atheist was ranked really high. There's people saying constantly atheists believe the universe came from nothing. Did a video on that, showed that that's not true. All the atheists that I asked said no. So, but it's still out there. It's still said because your belief system is such that these ideas are easy to express, and even when they get challenged, it doesn't matter because that challenge just means that you're more right. I want to recommend a fairly large YouTube channel here. I just have to find it real quick. Now I won't be able to because I want to. This guy. Okay.
I examined.
This guy called. That was one, is Framing Logic, but there's another one that what was it called now? Prophecy failed. I don't know. Okay, can't find it. Whatever. I'll find it later. Put it in the description. Doesn't matter. Okay. Live. Yeah. That it doesn't, that the religious prophesies the end of the world is coming, and it doesn't happen. And you would think the religion would fall apart, but it doesn't. It survives despite that, and in fact, actually, in a way, because of that, if the right systems are in place. If the people, oh, it was a spiritual thing, or the people are, you're the Mormons, of course, famously, predict the end of the world a lot and get it wrong. And in the video that I'm trying to reference that I can't find right now, but I will put it on the description. The guy was like explaining that the Mormon person blamed the Mormons, saying, "You guys believed that it was going to happen. That's why it didn't happen." Like, what? So if they didn't believe it was going to happen, then it would have happened? What? It's just, it's this non-coherent rationalization, and it's deeper than just cognitive dissonance. Although cognitive dissonance is part of it, there's more to it. So the religious, broadly speaking, will continue with the bad argument, even though you present that there are logical fallacies in it, that there are scientific errors in it. You can show them evidence of it, and they won't change their mind. They will not. In fact, it might actually cause them, and studies have shown it more than likely will cause them to double down and believe in even harder. And so some people go, well, then what's the point? Just what's the point in trying to talk to them or tell them they're wrong or whatever? I mean, give up. Who cares? They're just going to keep believing no matter what. And it's like, well, you could do that, but that's not going to do anything. You certainly cannot affect change if you don't try to make change happen. And it's not necessarily about that person. It is about the wider audience that you're reaching. And some people really deeply fear that the bad idea will win. And it might. It might win. But it might not. Now, I'm a very small data set amongst all the data points out there of people who deconverted because of atheists online. But not just one atheist, but because these pesky atheists kept asking for evidence, and I wanted to find that evidence. So I set out to actually look for it. But I had to decide to do that. I had to want to find the truth. I had to wrestle with that. And it took time. So, although Riley's not going to deconvert from anything I say instantly, who knows if what I say later on will have some sort of impact upon him in his journey. Or something that somebody in chat says. Or maybe not him, but somebody else listening to it. And at the very least, it will be interesting to understand somebody's position and try to get to the root of, are these arguments something that he really thinks are valid and sound? Or is it just that this is apologetics and it doesn't matter to him? Is it just a sham show? What is his faith based on? What does he believe and why does he believe it? And why is it that he's ignoring the atheists that are telling him these arguments are not convincing? Because that's interesting. That's the most interesting thing of all. Hypothetically, the video is meant to prove God, but you've got all these people saying to you, this didn't prove God, and you're ignoring them. Why would you do that? Why wouldn't you listen to them? Why wouldn't you accept their criticisms and concerns and say, okay, well, this didn't work. Let me try something else. But instead, we see in his responses to those text comments and his video response to Sir's video, doubling down and quadrupling down and making more bad arguments. So is that what's going to happen in our conversation? Don't know. I'm going to keep it loose, and it's not going to be a debate. I'm just going to ask him questions. Somewhat, it's not an interview per se, because I'm going to let him ask me questions, what are usually in an interview, it's all about them. But I want to get to the root of the matter. I don't know that I will, but I'll try. Is he ready? Is he ready to challenge what he holds most dear? Don't know. Have no idea. But we'll find out together. And it's not about any one individual. And I don't want, per se, it's kind of weird. I have this, it's not like I'm trying to deconvert people. I don't mind if they deconvert, but I don't want them to experience the pain that I went through. Now, they might not. I don't know. But my empathy makes me feel uneasy about the thought of deliberately deconverting somebody if I could do that. So that's kind of a weird thing in my brain, Let's see. How old am I? Me? Huh? What? I just saw this. I am now 46. Can I ask? Oh. DC. He meant DM. Deconverted. Yeah. But anyways, so yeah, different psychological things are going on in the believer's head than from the non-believer. But of course, then I have to bring it back to us, the non-believers, the skeptics, the atheists, whatever our label is. Don't think that you're immune, because you're not. Your brain is just as susceptible to weird, wacky ideas as anyone else's. And there's probably something that you believe is true that isn't true at all. And you think that it's true because the zeitgeist has made it seem so obviously true that you don't want to question it. You haven't looked into it. You haven't researched it. Or you researched it a little teeny bit and you're like, okay, that's good enough. It's true. That's fine. Because you start to feel uneasy when you question what you hold most dear, when you question ideas that you have. It's hard. It takes effort and energy, and it drains you, and you need food because your brain is working. So who knows what that is? Because I have to keep it. I could say, well, what about this idea? This idea, I could throw out ideas until one lands. And obvious ones might be politics, because politics does introduce us to very much group identity. It's them versus us, and it's easy to dehumanize the other side, label them. They're the they're the X whatever. They're the, those darn evil communists and socialists, or those capitalists, those those rich people, the 1%, the labels. And some people label themselves, now we've got MAGA, the MAGA people. Who are what? They're MAGA people? They're not just people, they're MAGA people. Okay. And even you get, self-identified groups, LGBT, and it's like, I'm this, and it's like, you're more than just that. You are more than just your label. But we do that, and then it's red versus blue, it's black versus white, it's me versus them, it's good versus evil, and there's nuance, but it's easy to forget the nuance because you're right and they're wrong. Look what they're doing, they're destroying everything, and they believe the same about you. Well, who's right? And what would happen if they got their way, right? Like, say the worst comes to be the what was it, Project 2622 nonsense. If that came to be, it wouldn't last. It couldn't. It would collapse because the religious would kill it themselves because it wouldn't favor them in the way that they think that it would. It would only favor certain portions of religion. And you would find, standing side by side, if you will, with religious people, you would find ourselves fighting against it just as much as they are. So, not that it, but still it'd be bloody. It would be a battle for sure. It'd be not good for a while, but it would collapse under its own weight. And there's certainly history that shows that would be the case, but we don't want to go down that path because we don't want that death and destruction to happen that would surely happen. So it's always a fight. And it's hard to say who is right, especially because your biases are a thing that exists for real. And your beliefs are a thing that exists for real. And it's hard to challenge those and go, well, maybe they're right about this in this certain way. Maybe they're right in this way. Maybe I didn't think about it. It's really hard to think of that. It's like, well, maybe this would work if we tried it in this way. So it's recognizing that our brain is, by and large, a byproduct of evolution. We are social creatures. We are not going to be immune to weird, wacky ideas just because we happen to be somewhat immune to the God belief and spiritual beliefs and weird, wacky ideas that exist out there, like paranormal, ESP, psychic stuff, whatever. That doesn't mean you can't get caught up in some belief about something and that you find yourself unwilling to challenge it because you are comfortable with the idea. So always be willing to challenge what you hold most dear and always seek to do that. That's the only way to protect yourself from yourself, if you will. Anyways, I'm looking forward to the conversation with Riley. I'm not going to have any, I thought about, I'm going back and forth in my mind on whether or not I want to have scientific papers ready to pull up and be like, well, what about this? And I'm like, yeah, it's not going to matter. So I don't think that I will. I think I'll just say, look, you're wrong about this. I can't explain the science. I don't know why you don't understand the science. I would encourage you to learn the science. So there'll be a lot of that. Once you see the absurdity of God, you can't unsee it. Yeah, that's good. Glad that Captive Desk is doing good. Astrology, yeah. Well, yeah. So anyways, hope to see you there. Now I've promoted myself as much as I can. And so yeah, be there, be square, and be a lobster if you want. Whatever you want to do. I don't know. All right, thanks for listening to whatever this was. Don't know if I'll leave it up. I guess I will. It's fine. Nothing was said that didn't need to be not said or whatever. What do I got here? Oh, look at all my subscriptions. Oh, look, yeah. Get to see what I'm subscribed to. I don't know if you care, but look, I'm subscribed. Look, Kazumi. I think it's Kazumi. Yeah, Kazumi. Yeah, he's cool. I like him. I keep bugging him to let me interview him, and he hasn't let me yet. But I'm gonna get him one of these days. Well, there's the web expert. I'm gonna have a talk with web expert at some point in the future too on this channel about a book he wrote. All right, now I'm done. Until next time, be skeptical. And after next time, stay skeptical. And I'm laughing because Cosmic said it. Kazumi might be AI. What? No. All right. Now I'm done. Meow. For now.